Love is but a song we sing, and fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains ring, or make the angels cry. Though the bird is on the wing, and you may not know why. Come on, people, now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Some may come and some may go, and we will surely pass. When the one that left us here returns for us at last, we are but a moment's sunlight fading in the grass. Come on, people, now, smile on your sister. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. Come on, people, now, smile on each other. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people, now, smile on each other. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Right now. Right now.
Good morning. Welcome to St. Francis. It is good to have you here with us today. I have a number of announcements that I'd like to start with. First of all, I want to invite you to come up to the church on Wednesday between 8 and 11 and bring bags of food for Interfaith Community Services. We are doing a food drive that day, and we would love to have you come and donate that. So that will be from 8 to 11. There will be a truck. You'll find it here on the property, and just drop off as much food as what you can bring. You know the type of food that's needed, the peanut butters, the dry cereals, things like that. Whatever you can bring, please bring that. We have Charge Conference coming up. It was scheduled one time. That's what Melissa sent out to you. But since we have rescheduled it, and so the time that we are going to have it is the 14th of October, and that will be at 7 o'clock. And we'd love to have you be part of that. It will be a Zoom conference, and so we will send out the information for that as we get it. In a couple of weeks, on the 4th of October, we have the PCI, Pima County Interfaith Accountability Session. It will be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's a Sunday. And we have committed to have at least 15 people there. And I hope that in honor of Robbie Dick, you'll be one of those people, because she would want every one of us to be there in that political process, especially this year. In the midst of this year, in the midst of all that we're going through, it is a good time for us to figure out what is it that this is going to make of us. Because these challenging, difficult times can tear us down, or they can build us into something brand new. If you'd like to be part of the conversation about what that will be, part of where we do that is at 10:45. We do a talk back every Sunday. And we just sit and talk to each other, remember the conversations that we have had, and dream about what can be. And so come join us at 10:45. Now, will you join me as Orion lights the candles for us?
The reading is entitled Patient Trust. It's by one of the greatest theologians, philosophers, scientists, and mystics of the 20th century, Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. Above all, trust in the slow work of God. We're quite naturally impatient in everything to reach the end without delay. We should like to skip the intermediate stages. We are impatient of being on the way to something unknown, something new. And yet, it is the law of all progress that it is made by passing through some stages of instability, and that it may take a very long time. And so I think it is with you. Your ideas mature gradually. Let them grow. Let them shape themselves without undue haste. Don't try to force them on as though you could be today what time will make of your tomorrow. Only God could say what this new spirit gradually forming within you will be. Give our Lord the benefit of believing that its hand is leading you, and accept the anxiety of feeling yourself in suspense and incomplete.
He was driving into Chicago in a borrowed El Camino on a hazeless day in springtime. I think it was Cinco de Mayo. Maybe it was St. Patty's or the gay pride parade, but I never seen nobody light up the street that way. Brother, where you been? Hold on if you can. Just do your best then. Say amen. I called in sick for the weekend, drinking St. Pauli's in Wisconsin. I'd been fishing with my buddies most of Sunday afternoon. There beneath the halo of an old Milwaukee sign, he said, "There's big ones in the shallows, I see them all the time. Sister, where have you been? Hold on if you can. Just do your best then. Say amen." I stopped in at the 7-Eleven. I was buying an Aquafina. He was wearing knockoff sneakers. I was nursing a hangover. He said, "You're worth a whole lot more, baby, than you ever dared to dream of." Like he knew the secret sketchy places I was looking for love. Brother, where you been? Hold on if you can. Just do your best then. Say amen. A tall, skinny guy with dreadlocks said they're giving out free bagels and lox. So I took my kids and all my plastic bags and I walked those 7 blocks. There were joggers and commuters, skateboard kids and guys. There were drunks and dogs and meter maids in that downtown vacant lot. He said the universe is unfolding and the center still is holding. There's enough if we just share it. So don't forget to pass the basket. Blessed are the good-hearted, the poets and the dreamers, and all us crazy, holy, hungry ones who still believe in something better. Sister, where you been? Hold on if you can. Just do your best then. Say amen. I saw Jesus talking shop with Buddha at the Starbucks. I saw Ganesh and Gaia doing double dutch in the park. And Mohammed was throwing popcorn to the pigeons and the sparrows. And all us hungry holy ones still believed in something better. Brother, where you been? Hold on if you can. Just do your best then. Say amen. Sister, where you been? Hold on if you can. Just do your best then. Say amen. Say
Hi kiddos, Miss Trish here, and for those of you who don't know, I'm Cadence's mom, and I'm going to read you a book today called Little Tree. It's about a little tree. How about that? But there's much more to this story, as there usually is. So here we go. Once there was a little tree filled with little leaves. It's a nice little tree. Who was surrounded by other little trees who had little leaves of their own. They're all little trees, huh? But they're all different too. In the heat of long summer days, Little Tree's leaves kept him cool. The squirrels would climb up on his branches to play. The mourning dove landed in him and sang her fluty song. The little tree was sure to grow up big and strong. Autumn arrived and cool winds filled the air. The wind tickled the little trees as it passed through his branches and ruffled his leaves. The air grew cold, and the leaves on all of the trees changed color, becoming yellow, red, and orange. This is my favorite time of the year. And where I grew up in West Virginia, it was the most beautiful time of the year because of all the changing colors. You guys ever been someplace where the trees change colors? It's so pretty. Then one by one, the trees began to drop their leaves. But not Little Tree. He just hugged his leaves tight. Here's Little Tree not letting go of his leaves. Hello, Little Tree, said a squirrel. You're supposed to drop your leaves now. But Little Tree was unsure. What would he do without his leaves? It's like he's pretty much always had them. He's kind of scared to let it go. Winter came. What are you doing with your leaves still on? Asked the doe. Little Tree just hugged his leaves tight. All the other trees let go of their leaves, but Little Tree doesn't want to let them go. Springtime arrived and the little forest burst into life again. The other trees grew bright new leaves. The squirrels played in their branches. Little Tree could hear the mourning dove singing her fluty song. Little Tree's kind of stuck. The seasons continue to come and go. Little Tree, quacked a duckling, your leaves are brown. Are you feeling sick? A fox said, "Little tree, it's autumn. It's time for you to drop your leaves. You can do it. Ready? 1, 2. They're trying to encourage little tree to drop his leaves, but he's just scared. I like how they're giving him positive encouragement instead of kind of like yelling at him. But little tree just hugged his leaves tight. All around the forest grew. One summer, Little Tree could no longer feel the sunlight. The squirrels played high above on the broad, tall trees, and the mourning doves sang so far away that he could hardly hear the fluty song. Poor Little Tree, he's kind of stuck there while the other trees grew up. He's missing out on all the stuff. Autumn came again. Leaves began to blanket the ground. Little Tree looked up at the other trees, at their branches reaching high into the sky. He remembered when the trees had all been his size. He's still there, hanging onto those leaves. I think he's starting to miss out on his friends, right? And then he let go. He did it. And his last leaf floated to the ground. For the first time, Little Tree felt the harsh cold of winter. That was probably a shock. He'd never felt that before because he always had his leaves. But in time, he's starting to get taller and getting new leaves. And everyone's watching him grow up. Something happened. Once there was a little tree who isn't little anymore. He's tall like his friends. Like, you can't even tell which one Little Tree is anymore. I think it's the one the squirrels are in, but they're all the same now. So I think the point of this story is sometimes when things are new or different, maybe like now, things are really different, it's hard to let go of those familiar things. And sometimes we need those familiar things for a little while to make us feel safe enough to go into change. But eventually we have to let those things go. And sometimes we have friends that tell us that, or grown-ups that say, maybe if you do this, it'll help you become better. And we're scared because it's new, or maybe it's hard, or maybe it's uncomfortable. And, you know, we've all gone through that. We're like, we don't want to let that go. We're so familiar with that. But sometimes in order to grow, we have to let those familiar things go. We have to let change happen. And then we become bigger and better, and we learn more, and we become like from little tree to big tree. And that's awesome. Yeah? Awesome. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed the story of Little Tree. And always remember, change is scary for everybody, even grown-ups. We are all afraid of new things and change and new situations. And if you need to hold on to that thing that's familiar for a little bit, that's okay. But also know it's going to be okay if you let familiar things go and grow into something new. Because we're always all changing, no matter how old or young we are. Okay? Love you guys. Hope to see you soon.
'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we will not be ashamed. To turn, will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we will not be ashamed. To turn, will be our by turning, turning, we come round right.
So as we get ready for our offering today, I want to stop and remember an absolute giant. Ruth Bader Ginsburg only stood 5 feet 1 inches tall, but she stood so grand in this world. She changed the world around her in so many different ways, moving close to Antonin Scalia, if that was what needed to be done, moving further away and leading the other side, the loyal opposition. Whatever needed to be done, she stepped into that role and she served us so well. She changed the world by her presence. And it's time for us to step into that same type of role. Who will you be because of who she was? What will this moment draw out of you? I saw a thing that said, may her memory be a revolution. She changed the world. How will you change the world? Please do whatever you can to give, to change, to move, to make this world something it has never been before. Thank you for your offerings.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, and let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, and let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be. Let it be, let it be, and let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
Let it be, let it be, let it be, and let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, and let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
Beloved God, it's hard sometimes to find the beauty and wonder in this world of ours that is so filled with sharp edges, heartbreaking accidents, and angry words that make us want to crawl right back under our bed covers. We're so saddened by all the pain and injustice that is so common in this world today. What can we learn from all of this heartache? Where lies the beauty in our most painful, lonely moments? Are you there with us? We need your help to recognize where these painful moments are meant to take us. We need your eyes to see the beauty in the roses that carry such a mean surprise as you cut them. We need your help to find forgiveness for the person who may have hurt or betrayed us. Help us to recognize how some of those hidden thorns in our lives may have given us the courage and determination to keep getting up and moving on. Help us to learn to appreciate all the thorns that prick us, all the bumps in the road that slow our progress, and most of all, help us understand our moments of deep sadness that may cripple us. Show us how they mold us and build us into the loving people we were always meant to be. In gratitude, we pray. Amen.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for them singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden's all play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Morning has broken like the first
Matthew 13, verses 24 through 30. Jesus put before them another parable. The kingdom of heaven may be compared to someone who sowed God's seeds in his field. But while everybody was asleep, an enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat, and then went away. So when the plants came up and the grain before them, the weeds appeared again. And the slaves of the householder came and said to him, Master, did you not sow God's seeds in your field? Well then, where did these seeds come from? He answered, An enemy has done this. The slave said to him, Then do you want us to go and gather them? But he replied, No, for in gathering the weeds you would uproot the wheat along with them. Let both of them grow together until the harvest. And at that harvest time I will tell the reapers to collect the weeds first and bind them in bundles to be burned, but gather the wheat into my barn.
So today I want to talk about weeds, a thing I'd usually rather avoid, especially when my wife says, honey, look at the yard. But weeds are present on a regular basis. I learned that about 2 years ago as I was running through my neighborhood. And you know those long, creepy grass weed things? I stepped on one end of it and my other foot went underneath it, and it left a scar that I have to this day as it sawed through my ankle. It's just a plant, but a plant that I can either reject or embrace. And I don't want to embrace it because, you know, the definition of a weed is a plant for which we haven't found a purpose yet. And I have not found a purpose for that kind of plant. And I want to throw it out. I want to get rid of it. But there's an additional word that goes onto that definition for which we haven't found a purpose yet. And when we have to throw something out, it means I choose not to see that yet. And yet God calls us towards the yet. In 8th grade, my English teacher was Miss Frank. And she introduced me to a book called Dandelion Wine, a book about a weed being used in a useful way. And you know what? I had to, in my growing up, take a lot of dandelions out of yards. You know, I didn't want to like them. The only thing that I thought was good about them was when they were still yellow and pretty, at least to some sort. But as soon as they got beyond that, they were just in the way. And yet some people have used dandelion wine in amazing ways. And that's a book by Ray Bradbury, who I've enjoyed in a number of different ways through my life. But it has an interesting story in there about a man named Leo Hoffman. And Leo wants to build a happiness machine because he sees the places where things are not working well in his life and in the lives of those around him. And so he wants to help take care of all those ills. And people laugh at him. He goes home to his wife, dejected because not everyone likes his idea. And there's his wife, Lena, and their 6 kids. And she says, "What's wrong?" And he says something about what he's thinking. And she says, "But we don't need a machine for that. But I want to make the machine," he says, "for others to cure all melancholy." And he's greeted only with silence by Lena. But he's too preoccupied to notice, because his focus on what he thinks is what he should do takes him away from hearing where she's at. The true happiness machine in his family is his family, but he's so busy trying to correct unhappiness that he doesn't take the time to see and be present with that joy. I wish I could say that he's the only one who's ever done that wrong, who's ever gotten focused wrong, distracted by, and yet isn't that what we often do? And we focus on something less important and get rid of that which seems to be in the way in the moment. When a thorn pricks your finger, you want to get rid of the thorn. There's always a temptation not just to get rid of the thorn, but to tear down the tree that gave birth to that damaging weapon in your life that hurts you. But what do you lose in the process? What should we fix, and what should we enjoy in each moment? How am I so busy fixing that I forget, like Leo, to be with that space where I find happiness? When do I fix? How do I fix? Because we're supposed to be about changing things, aren't we? Ruth Bader Ginsburg was good about changing things, helping to heal the wounds of the world and each other. That's a large part of how life in the Spirit calls us. We are supposed to do that. But it's so easy to get fixing and enjoyment of life in the wrong balance. My friend Dean, that I've told you about often, my Facebook struggle buddy, he posted a thing this day about the time will come when good men will have to do bad things. A post that, in my mind, definitely needed to be fixed, because I think it's an excuse to try to justify that insurrection is righteousness, and I don't think it is. That his taking up of arms against someone else would be a good step. And I began to correct him. But Dean also lives in the Pensacola area where Hurricane Sally came roaring through this week, and he's had no electricity for 4 days. And as he mentioned that, I realized that rather than fixing him in this moment, I need to be present in a different way. And so I began to tell him about UMCOR, and about how UMCOR is already present, already there, and that I will ask you to donate to help. And so if you would like to help those people in Pensacola, in all of that Gulf area that are affected by this hurricane, please donate to UMCOR and put hurricane relief, and the money will go directly there. See, in that moment, it was not a time to uproot the weeds, but to help in the healing, because healing sometimes is needed so that no further damage is done. That's the point of our parable, isn't it? It deals with the priorities and how we do the work that we read. And Aurora, thank you so much for reading that for us. And the priority in life, from the divine perspective, is always the growth of the wheat. An assistance to that which is good, growing and becoming and drawing us towards that which is best. And there's always a concern, a divine concern, for not impeding that growth, as opposed to the second part of the story, which is the destruction of those weeds that also grow. Because the reality is in our world, there's weeds that are planted on a regular basis by an enemy. And the servants ask that. They say, didn't we sow good seeds? Don't you want us to gather them? And an enemy has done this. And we can easily often see that enemy and draw the lines between us, thus setting up a clear dichotomy of right and wrong, of what needs to be fixed, what needs to be uprooted, what needs to be destroyed. But it's so easy to feel so good about your decision when you're uprooting that you do damage to that which is the purpose, the intent, the wheat that we are trying to grow, the goodness that we are trying to become. And if you place the other person as only the enemy, then oftentimes you uproot wheat along with weeds. Dorothy Day, that amazing prophet, said, "I really only love God as much as I love the person I love the least. And that was in my head as I was talking to Dean. How much am I willing to love him? Here's the great truth, one that enemy thinking often forgets. We often don't know what something grows into. We often don't know what those weeds become, what that enemy becomes, and our easy distinctions might not be telling the whole story. I've been scanning choir music the last little while in order to get it all electronically in our archives. And there's a line that's on much of that choir music, and it says something, usually some combinations of the letter S, A, T, B, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And I saw this one piece of music. Here it is. It's called I Believe in Sunshine. And it says S-A, S-B, T-B, or S-A-T-B voices. That's a lot of different combinations of what can be. But, and it just confused me even more than what choir music usually does. But then I saw this piece of music and I found my voice there. It has the normal S-A-T-B, but beside it, it also says for mixed voices. There I am, because I'm a mixed voice that sometimes is singing the S, and sometimes singing the A or the T or the B, and sometimes I even hit a strand where I hit most of one of those voices, but I'm definitely a mixed voice when it comes to choirs. And the easy string of letters might give easy definition to the music, but it doesn't give voice to all of us all the time. So where do you fit in the string of letters? How is it that a short string sometimes leaves you without a place? I look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and much of what she has attempted to do was expand our strings of letters and figure out ways to make it so that more people could find their space, that the weed we thought they were is not the only definition we give to them. Because while she wouldn't sing this song, I don't think, she would believe it. All God's children got a place in the choir. How do we hear the voices of each person and give it a space in our life? In elementary education, in education of all sorts, there's a set of thoughts which is called multiple intelligence thinking. And it talks about how there are many ways to be able to be intelligent. And much of the time in education, we've only measured each other through linguistic and mathematic or logical thinking. But we all know those people who are such gifted athletes and have such a wonderful control of their body, that they have a whole different type of intelligence. One that this type of thinking would call spatial intelligence or kinesthetic intelligence. And dancers are the same that way. There are some that have a naturalist intelligence where they have a sense of earth and how that earth works, that life works, that is different than most of us. There are some that have an existential, asking those difficult, challenging questions that are outside the box for some of us. There are some that have musical ability. And do I allow myself in that enemy to try to hear what it is that their intelligence is? Do I look at that person who is across the aisle from me and try to hear why it is that they're viewing life different? The person who is interpersonal and has that strong intelligence is good at that. I'm more intrapersonal, where I can know myself really well, and sometimes I forget to see others. But what we have to do is find out how it is that that person is thinking and living. In the 1920s, 100 years ago, Prescott Leckie came up with a theory called self-consistency or self-constancy theory. And he says that this is the capacity to be able to accept the advantages and the disadvantages of myself and others. Do I look and know the truth about me and what it is that I bring both in strengths and in difficulties, in weaknesses, if you will. Not just about me, but also about that other person around me. Do I actively look for the strengths in that person and not just the weaknesses, which sometimes are so apparent, the wrongness of that other person? The capacity to accept that that person has both and that I have both will allow me to be in a stronger space in this world if I allow it. For most of us are neither tares nor wheat, but a mixture of the two. Each arising at times, sometimes in wonderful ways, and other times ways that block both myself and the world around me. And trying to measure this moment by just one side of me will never do, or one side of you. Trying to measure this moment just by what you've shown me in the past alone, or as the past, expecting the two to be the same, ensures that we will only see wheat and weeds, but not both. Each situation, each interaction, each relationship, each moment will give us clues about how to proceed if we are open and alert. But without alert responsiveness, it is easy to assert yesterday's answer, yesterday's view of each other, as still the most important for today. And we will do that always to our regret, for that will continue to damage the wheat. In order to do this work, we have to take a couple of different steps. And the first is to enter into silence. Thich Nhat Hanh in this meme tells us, silence is essential. We need silence just as much as we need air, just as much as we need light. If our minds are crowded with words and laughter, there is no space for us. If in the midst of all this stuff that we have to go through, all the difficulties and challenges of wheats and weeds in our lives, if we can't listen to ourselves, our deepest selves, then we will have problems. We must allow ourselves to see deeper and arrive deeper and discover our true, authentic selves. For in those true, authentic selves that we are, that we need to be, we will discover what will truly change the world. And when we do that, then we have a chance to be able to change those around us. When we look and see both the wheat and the tares within us, both that which we want to encourage and that which we want to change, we also find those who can step into those roles of compensating for that which we don't have as strongly, and those who can be helped by that which we do have strongly. But the point is, we must stay completely ourselves and discover completely who we are. In a wonderful meme that's been passed around a lot lately, it says, be so completely yourself that everyone around you feels safe to be themselves as well. And that's what we have to do. For each of us have a part to be able to add to this thing we call civilization, this thing we call relationship, this world in which we live. And we must discover that and step into that role. We must help to solve to answer the question, what are we trying to solve on this journey? For we are journeying together through life, trying to arrive somewhere, and it doesn't happen right now. I loved the reading this morning, and wasn't it great to have that reader back with us? So David, thank you for being our reader this morning. And he reads from Teilhard that talks about that slow work of God, that work which brings us to an end, but not necessarily right now, that makes us quite impatient, they say. We are impatient of being on the way to something unknown, something new, and yet, says Teilhard, it is the law of all progress, that it is made by passing through some stages of instability, and that may take a very long time. You see, we want to fix that other person, that person who looks like weeds to us. We want to fix them now. But sometimes it takes time. And only God, Talard continues, only God could say what this new spirit gradually forming within you will be. We need to be patient to allow that to develop both in ourselves and in that other person. To not step into the easy role of explaining away our own faults, but to call each other towards a better life. My friend Nancy posted a thing this week, a meme that I didn't like. It was about slavery through history, and she was trying to explain away this slavery that we're dealing with, saying that there were white slaves and Mexican slaves and slaves of all different sorts throughout history. So stop trying to make people feel guilty for what they didn't do. And so much of what she wrote is true, but misses the point entirely. For this moment, this type of moment, calls us to listen. How should we respond in this moment? Well, Jesus, who told us this parable about wheat and tares, said that we should always take the time to spend in listening. For that's what he did. He stopped. In the course of doing something else important, he would stop and be with the person in front of him. And so I said to her, your meme diverts people from seeing what Jesus would have noticed, diverts people from responding how Jesus would have responded, for you close your ears to what Jesus listened to. True life-changing experience, true life-changing spirituality calls us to notice the hurt that's calling out to us in this present moment. That means we have to look at that other person that is hurting, that other person who is challenging, and oftentimes challenging to me, that seems like the weed amidst my wheat, and we have to sit and listen. For that is the second point. After being in silence, we also have to be in a space where we hear not just what God is saying, but what that other person is saying. I love this next picture that I found. I've been dwelling on it a lot. And it's of two girls that you know, Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz and Alice from Wonderland. And they're sitting next to each other. And the original title on it said, I've seen some stuff. Well, it said something like that. It just used a different S word. And they both saw some stuff, didn't they? And they had to try to figure out, what do I do with all this that I've seen? How do I take it into my life and let it change me? But isn't that what we all need to do? Sitting with somebody else and being able to speak the truth of what we've gone through and the difficulty we have of being able to do that. And wouldn't it be great for each of us to be that listening ear, that caring heart, that spirit which embraces in the midst of that sharing? But to do that, we must step past the enemy making toward relationship, past seeing weeds and seeing the wheat that is within that other person, toward a larger definition of the person in front of us. For the grass that cuts my leg also makes the running path more pleasant, and the thorn which pricks my finger also guards the fruit that I will pick later in the summer. And the seed, that seed which might blow into my eye, irritating me, might grow into the tree that shades my grandchildren. May it be so. Amen.
Everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn.
plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to leave. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven.
A time of love, a time of hate, a time for war, a time for peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing.
Get it? Yeah! To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to reign, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late.
Before I go on to the benediction, I have one more little announcement to make. This Saturday, the trustees are going to have a cleanup day, and they would love for you to come. It will be from 8 o'clock until 11 o'clock, or until whenever you stay, whether it's shorter or longer. I'm going to bring some donuts. Come bring yourself and come do some work and help clean up the different places here at the church. So as we move forward, now that we're in the last third or so of 2020, when we're getting close to ending this year, getting close to being past what has been for most of us the most challenging, difficult, unusual year ever. When we've gotten to the home stretch of the year, I saw a meme that expressed what this home stretch looks like. Look at this. It is not a simple home stretch. It is not an easy one, and the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg may throw even more stuff in our path, more challenges, more ways that we could separate and be weeds to each other. But in the midst of that, I want you to remember this poem. It's by Rachel Marie Martin. Take this as your benediction. Don't give up on this year. Keep fighting for the good. Keep showing up. Keep loving. Keep giving back. Keep being kind. Keep being brave. Keep caring. Keep trying new things. Keep showing grace. Keep on. The world needs you to believe in the good. Amen.
Faithful and true is the word of our God. All of God's works are worthy of trust.